Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling that aired on September 24th, 2014. I've just kind of gotten around to being able to watch the show. So the main focal point of the show was the quote-unquote New York City Gold Rush tournament, which was basically 5 qualifying matches that would lead to a 5-way match at the end of the show. Most of these matches were fairly entertaining. The only big problem I had with it was all these matches didn't really have a focal point of any reoccurring storylines that have been going on inside of Impact there. It was pretty much just random matches that you got that would lead to the 5-way match at the end of the show. The match with Low-Key and MVP I thought was a really good match. It came off really well in my mind. Just a nice, not really a clash of styles, but you know, they both have that whole Japanese, they have the Japanese wrestling background of the strong style, throwing the elbows, throwing forearms and everything, and that's what you got in that match, and I thought it came off really well. The match with Robbie E and Tajiri was an okay match. It kind of sucks that they're kind of putting almost not really burying, but you know, they would have Tajiri go over in this case. You figure if you wanted to push a guy like Robbie E, this wouldn't be a bad way of, this would have been a pretty good way of doing it. But they had Tajiri go over. Tajiri looked alright. He definitely looked a little bit slower than he had been, but then again, that's to be given with age and with him being older than what the last time I had seen him in any kind of ring work at any point in time. Probably the most entertaining of these matches was the third match with Nux and Austin Aries. And the reason why I just found this probably to be a more entertaining match is because they kind of did almost a role reversal. You know, you have the big guy, small guy match, and typically the small guy is going to go for speed and everything, and the big guy is going to be going with power. But you know, through tidbits of throughout the match, and then you know, with the ending of the match, you had role reversal in there. You had Nux showing off his athletic ability, doing kip ups and drop kicks and everything, and trying to show a little bit of agility in there. And then you had Austin Aries trying to do the test of strength with Nux, and then of course winning the match with the brainbuster. So you had role reversals of what you had thought those people would go for in that type of match, and I thought, and that actually came off fairly entertaining. The match with Mr. Anderson and Magnus, it was again was a pretty good match. It wasn't anything spectacular, and then of course they had Mr. Anderson going over in that case. And then you had Samuel Shaw and Abyss, and again, it was what it was. And you don't think they're going to be pushing Samuel Shaw, at least not anytime soon, to a top level. So you figure they'd have Abyss go over, and which they did. But again, the biggest problem I had with those 5 matches is that you had no really reoccurring storylines that they've been going for, and no real build-up going into the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, which I'll talk about after I've gotten through there. I won't talk about it in this video. I'll talk about that in the next video. What I think of how they're going with Bound for Glory at this point. Which this does lead now into that 5-person. The 5-way match at the end of the show. The winner gets to pick their own title shot, and this match was actually a little bit confusing. You know, having them tag in and out made you feel like this match was going to be an elimination style match. And if I remember correctly, I'm not sure if they actually said, but I thought you heard someone say that, you know, heard one of the announcers say that this was an elimination style match, but then it ended up being just a 1 fall to the finish match, with Austin Aries pulling out the victory. And so they have Austin Aries now. He's going to get to decide which championship he goes for next week. And in all honesty, if they have him pick anything other than going for the World Heavyweight title, it makes it like a complete waste of time doing this if he picks the tag titles or the X Division title. Not to put down those titles, but you really should be focusing on going after the world title. So if they have him pick one of the other titles, it kind of just, you know, almost makes it a waste of time at that point. So the whole show is what it was. It was pretty much focused around that. You know, you had a decent backstage segment with Robbie E and Jesse and Zema Ion talking about the Amazing Race and you know, their whole ongoing storyline with the bromance with the beautiful people deal. So we'll see where they go with something in that sense, but you know, that was the main focal point of the show, which was the Gold Rush and then having the last match at the end there. Overall, kind of a ho-hum show, at least in my own personal opinion. You know, matches were pretty good, but you didn't really, again, you didn't have anything going for storyline or building up towards your biggest pay-per-view of the year, which is Bound for Glory. So you gotta see where they're gonna go. You gotta see where they're gonna go with it. If they're gonna even really do any kind of build-up on television for Bound for Glory, and we'll see where they go. We'll see where they go with that. That's my biggest thing right now. Is it doesn't seem like there's gonna be much, if any, storyline build-up going into the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. And I'll do a video about that if that's going to be the case later down the road, like right before the Bound for Glory pay-per-view actually happens. So, yeah, that's my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling, and I thank you guys for watching.